So next we have AB's Lasiocarpa, and Lasiocarpa, people often say Lasiocarpa because it's got lousy wood, and that's just a property of subalpine fir. It's got the smallest cones out of any fir. Here's our sample. You can see fairly reduced cone there. Fairly typical of alpine trees in general, that they're just experiencing a difficult environment, so their cones tend to be reduced, their needles tend to be reduced and whatnot, so they just don't have enough energy to throw into their cones like other specimens. And what do we have here for... So they have more or less level shoulders for their bracts. So if I'll draw it again here. So here's our cone scale. And they have kind of level shoulders like this. So that's AB's Lasiocarpa. Okay, sorry about that interlude. We were running out of minutes on our camera. So the last true fir, I think, yeah, the last true fir we have here is AB's Procera noble fir. So it's got the biggest cones by far, almost doubling the size of any other cone. You can see the rachis here and the remaining cone scales that haven't fallen off yet. This is your typical Christmas tree, the fullest foliage. It's got, I want to call them dorsal needles. It's got very, very pronounced dorsal needles that kind of point towards the sky, especially in this dried specimen. So as you can see, it's got very full foliage, kind of a dark green, blue, kind of turquoise tinge to it. You can see it's fairly distinct from the rest of the firs. You may confuse this for a spruce because the foliage is fairly aggressive to the touch. But what really gives it away here is the big cones, and this is the only true fir that has bracts that extend out further than the cone scales. So if we were to draw this on the board here, I'll just quickly throw this up. It's got very, very... So this is the cone scale now, instead of being up here. And the bract comes up like this, almost like Doug fir. So you can see that the bract extends much further than the cone scale. So those are the two things: big cones in noble fir, the long bracts are the two main things, and the full kind of odd colored. It's the odd one out of the firs. So that wraps up the true fir. Oh, just had a little stretch there, a little run. So we're back with the fake hemlock here. We've got Douglas fir, Pseudotsuga menziesii, which means fake hemlock. And it's also named Douglas fir, so it's fairly confusing. It's a fir, but it's not. It's not a fir, and it's not a hemlock. So we're basically calling it what it's not. So the foliage on Douglas fir is fairly soft, really soft. It's fairly similar to the hemlock, actually. How you can distinguish it here is it's got these red buds, these very pointy red buds. You won't be able to see them there, but we'll put a picture up here. And very dark, lush green foliage with a line down the center on the top side there, and then the two lines of stomata on the bottom, typical of most needles actually. But you can see that there can be a variety of sizes in the Douglas fir, this being the interior Douglas fir, and this being the coastal Douglas fir. But they have one identifying feature here, and that's the mouse tail running up the cone scale of the bract. So the bract has a long terminal end to it, and it kind of looks like a mouse running up the cone scale, and it's a dead giveaway. So Other than that, you can't really mess up Douglas fir. So moving on, we have oh wow, the name here. Douglas fir. We have our hemlock here, our coast western hemlock, Pseudoheterophylla, and everyone knows the story about hemlock. They were last, or they skipped the line, and then they got the smallest cones of the bunch, and they hung their head in shame. So, western hemlock is very droopy, and it's also got these terminal little cones. It's got these terminal cones and this fir-like foliage. It's fairly unique, and can't really say much more about it. You should come into the lab and check it out. The last specimen of our SEGA tree identifying mission is the mountain hemlock, which is Tsuga mertensiana. So we have mountain hemlock. So you can see from the cones here, they're about the same size and shape of a Sitka spruce. The difference here is obviously Sitka spruce has the really ragged end of the cone scale, whereas mountain hemlock has a thumb-like. So it's kind of like a white spruce end here, but a Sitka spruce shape. So it's a long cone. And also, you can see from this specimen, this is actually one of our best specimens, it's got a very starry-like appearance. So it's got these short shoots off of the longer shoots here, kind of short, yeah, very short shoots, and it gives this kind of twinkly, starry appearance. It's fairly nice, actually, and it gives us this unique foliage. So that wraps up aves and the hemlocks, and so we've covered, noble fir, Aves lasiocarpa, subalpine fir, Aves grandis, grand fir, Aves balsamea, balsam fir. We've got Aves amabilis fir, Sitka spruce, Picea sitkensis, black spruce, Picea marianum, and we've got white spruce, Picea, I forgot the name, and Engelmann spruce and Norway spruce. So thanks for joining Seabass. We just covered Gymnosperms 3. Hope you have a good day, really. Thanks.